So basically, what I had to say about Mainoo is that I see Mainoo training today, and he deserves to play. But then I have to take one guy out that's playing really well. We should have played yesterday in the Carabao Cup because I need to see Kobbie playing. I need to see Joshua Zirkzee playing. All these guys deserve to be playing. But in the end, with one game, you need to make choices. So we have both sides, but we are taking advantage of the good side, which is not playing in midweek. And effectively, he basically said that, look, Mainoo, I've seen him train today. He's trained really well. He deserves to play. But, I don't have space in the team. Bruno and Casemiro are playing well, so I can't pick them. So ultimately, I think that the talking point there is he wrong? Is he right? I think that, look, if I'm being completely honest in that situation, if I'm Mainoo and I'm hearing my manager say that, I mean, potentially you could take the positives from it and say, well, look, I'm training really hard and he won't give me minutes. But the flip side of that coin would be, I thought in the second half against Nottingham Forest last weekend, Bruno and Casemiro get on their feet. You didn't bring me on then, did you? There has been games this season where Casemiro and Bruno have had bad games. You didn't pick me in the next game then, did you? I mean, the reality is, it doesn't actually matter. I'm speaking as if I'm Mainoo here. It doesn't matter if you're saying I'm training well and I deserve to play. Because if that's the case, let me go on loan, because you're not going to use me, mate. Like, you can't publicly say, oh, I'm training well and I deserve to play, because I can publicly say to you, which is not public, I could say to you, well, what about this game where Bruno played shit? What about Brentford where Bruno played shit? You didn't pick me the next game. What about Fulham where Bruno was shit? You didn't pick me the next game. What about second half against Forest where Bruno was shit? You didn't bring me on. So it's all right saying, oh, I deserve to play more. I mean, you're basically saying I should be playing in the Carabao Cup. With all due respect, I don't think I should be playing in the Carabao Cup. I think I should be playing in the Premier League. So you're basically saying publicly that I deserve to play, and then you're not playing me. And then you're saying, if we'd had a Carabao Cup game, I would have been playing. Well, that's not what I want. I don't want to be playing Carabao Cup football. I want to play Premier League football. So, look, I think my take on it is, and from a manager point of view, like that's the Mainoo side. It's important to give the manager side as well. From a manager point of view, like, it's the perfect thing to say. You're happy with Bruno and Casemiro. You've got Ugarte and Mainoo on the bench. You say they're training well, and it's just unfortunate there's not enough games. But I've got to focus on the positives. What do you want him to say? He ain't training well. He ain't good enough for my team, and that's why I'm not picking him, and I don't trust him. I mean, so there is an element of I suppose, PR, etc. there. But the reality is, my personal feeling, having given you what Mainoo and Amorim's feeling might be, is that I just don't buy it. I don't buy that he's training well. I do buy the fact that he's training well, but I don't buy the fact that, there isn't space in the team. I don't buy into the fact that, I mean, look, the way Amorim puts it is that, look, it's a negative for the people who aren't getting game time, but I don't have space for them. It's a positive for me because we're only playing one game a week. He was asked a question about potentially rotating Bruno, and he said, I can't remember what he said. He said words to the effect that Bruno is a really important player for us. We're only playing one game a week and he's playing well, so we don't need to change it. If in the future we have more games, then, we might need to rotate it. But at the moment, we don't need to rotate it. Maybe next year if we're in other cups or we're back in Europe. But at the moment, I don't need to rotate it because there's only one game a week. So look, I think it's I think it is a big message to Mainoo, and I think it is a big message to everybody else that he has his favourites and he isn't going to change that. I don't mind that, by the way. For me, when we did the preview last night, what did I say? I said in the preview that, I never even touched on the midfield. I never mentioned Ugarte. I never mentioned Mainoo because I know his midfield is Casemiro and Bruno, and that's the midfield he's very happy with. And as a manager, that's we want to know what his best team is, and it is Bruno and Casemiro. So call it for what it is. It's not even close. If it was close and he really was feeling bad about not picking Ugarte or picking Mainoo, then they would be coming on more often. Maybe they'd even be starting more often. But I don't buy into the fact that, these players are training really well and they deserve to start, but I'm not going to. I think he has his preferences, and that's absolutely fine. The final thing I would say about it is that when he says that these people deserve to play, but I can't find a space for them. As I said, there are multiple games where people have played badly this season. And let's just go back to last weekend. Delo has been rubbish for 3 weeks and still starts in that game. Now, you're telling me that Mazraoui couldn't have played left wing back, or Dorgu couldn't have played left wing back. So I don't get the sense with Amorim that he picks a team based on who's training well. I think he picks a team on who his best 11 is. That's fine. That's not a criticism, by the way. Sir Alex Ferguson used to do this. Many managers have done this. I don't think Amorim looks at it in the week and goes, "You've trained well, you're going into my team." I think he looks at it and goes, "You're my best team. How do we recover for the weekend?" I don't think he gives a shit if Casemiro trains badly or trains well. I think he's in the team tomorrow. Same with De Ligt. If De Ligt has a bad training session, I don't think he goes, "You're out the team, Mazraoui, you're in." I think he's establishing his best 11, and I said that ahead of the Forest game last week. I think there's one or two positions in that team that are up for grabs. One of them is Sesko's. One of them has to be Delo's. Apart from that, I think his best team is pretty much set in stone. But look, tell me what your thoughts are. I don't know. What do you do with that message that Amorim has sent to Mainoo? He deserves to play. He's training really, really well, but we've only got one game a week and there's no space in the team for him because Casemiro and Bruno are playing well. Is that a good message? Is it a fair message? Is it a right message? I personally think, as the manager, you've got every right to say that, and I don't have a problem with it at all. I just think you're answering your own question.